Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Albandian, and I am the coordinator for ISAR 2022. Now, this conference is coming, and it's going to happen in August of this year. So August 25th through the 29th. It's going to be happening just outside of Denver, Colorado, in a little town called Westminster. It's right between Denver and Boulder, so you'll have access to all of the fun things around there. And today I am talking with my friend Wade Caves.
Hello.
Yes, hi. And he's going to be one of 100 speakers for ISAR. So we have some amazing speakers coming in. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about Wade. He's an astrological consultant, a speaker, and educator specializing in horary and electional and classical astrological techniques. He's certified with honors from the Mayo School of Astrology and is well versed in both traditional and modern psychological methods of chart delineation. He's received his certification, well, there you go, his certification as horary practitioner from Deborah Holdings School of Traditional Astrology in 2013 and now serves as a faculty member. And where are you based now?
I'm in Brooklyn now. Every time we talk, Laura, I'm somewhere else. I was in London and they got thrown around. And I moved to Brooklyn the week that they shut New York City down. It was on March 14th, I think it was, 2020. I mean, I landed, no one knew what was going on, but we knew things were getting serious. So it's quite a crazy time.
Later, 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah, I got kind of stuck. I got kind of stuck a little bit, to be honest with you, but I'm kind of happy I did. I really am enjoying New York City right now. It's been great.
So. London, New York City, two very big.
That's right.
Metropolises.
I tend to get myself too, I like to plant myself in the places that are the worst place to be in place of like global collapse, big cities.
A question before we talk about your lectures, and that is, we have some conferences coming up this year, and ISAR is coming, and we're all intending to be there in person. What does that feel like for you? We've been away from each other for 2 years. What does that feel like for you?
I'm very excited about it. Personally, I can appreciate that some folks will still feel a bit nervous, and you got to do what's right for you. But I've done virtual stuff so much now. I think we can all relate. It's like I'm not ready to step into the metaverse just yet. I'd like to touch you, hug you, hold you, sit next to you, in a lecture and look and see. And there is something special about being together. And I'm kind of excited. And also, Colorado's beautiful. I mean, it's one of the most geographically stunning places within the U.S. And so it's very exciting to be, heading to Colorado for the ISAR conference. So all around, I'm very excited, really looking forward to it. When I said yes to everything, I secured my hotel, my tickets immediately. I'm there.
Right on. There's something special about being in physical space with each other, making those connections, because everything is about connection. Yeah. And though we can, make every attempt virtually and have intention toward that, it is never the same.
Well, and there's so many people that I've met over the last 2 years that are also in the astrology kind of universe. And I just haven't been able to meet them. I mean, I've met them online. We've met through Twitter or Instagram or some form of social. And, it's not been a case where we've had the opportunity to just look at each other and say like, you're real, hug. And so I'm really excited. I got a couple of new friends that'll be at the conference, and it's going to be fantastic. So.
Excellent. I agree and couldn't agree more. So you are doing 2 lectures. As I said, you're doing one on Friday called Changing Tides, Lunations in Global Astrology. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I think I cleverly left that a little open-ended because I didn't know where the world would be by the time we come to ISAR. But a few years ago, I will just be honest and say that I think that when I came into the back half of my 20s and was taking a look at what was going on in the world, I just realized that I was so incredibly undereducated about anything that happened outside of US borders. And of course, any story that I was told about things that happened abroad, it was written by Americans for American consumption. And so it's very particular side of the story. So I slowly started to expand, my learning about not only just, ancient historical world, but also, what kind of crises that we're experiencing today, like what fueled the crises that we're experiencing today. I felt for a long time just so disappointed in myself that when conversations would get to a certain point of nuance, I couldn't contribute anymore when it would talk about global events, current events, because I just was so grossly uninformed, and I would just have to, kind of add things up very slowly as I go. So what I decided to do was kind of dig in a little bit and start to learn history of the world and history of current conflicts. And one of the best ways for me to do that as an astrologer is to understand, what cycles were active. It's very helpful for, I think, us as astrologers to be able to take a look at a historical moment or maybe something that's brewing now. We see that it's predicated on a certain signature, and to be able to see and trace that thread all the way back, like at every iteration of this conflict, or where this speech was made and this protest came out later, and you realize, wow, it's the same signatures popping up. But in the process of doing this, one of the things that I, really got woken up to was the power of new and full moons that are happening in particular regions, to be able to give you an understanding of what events are likely to occur during that period, or if they don't occur during that period, are about to be regurgitated later by a later syzygy full or new moon that is tapping into the stuff that happened currently. So to give you an example, the Capricorn ingress that happened last December, that features a Moon-Pluto opposition. Moon was at 27, Pluto was at 26, I believe. Moon was at 27 Cancer, obviously. So then we fast forward, and there's a lunation that is the Moon at 27 Cancer, and then we have Pluto at 25, 26 degrees of Capricorn, and we start to see the kickoff of the crisis that's happening in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine at the moment. And if you keep actually measuring what's going on with all of these lunations, you start to realize there is a story that's being told. And the reason I call this changing tides, one is just a nod to the moon's relationship to the idea of tides and how things kind of shift and move. But you almost do get a sense of when there's a gestation period, an incubation period, and when there's a release period, when there's an expansion versus consolidation period. And it's not as simple as full moon versus new moon. It's about what it highlights and what it touches. So for instance, right now, we are in the middle, while recording this, of two full moons, one that happened on the 27th degree, sorry, 27 Leo, and then there will be one that's, I think, at 26 or 27 Virgo next month. These are the same lunations that attended Russian annexation of Crimea, and we're revisiting it now 8 years later with the same signatures, same degrees. I mean, it's really powerful. I mean, I was last year writing about lunations, and then we saw the death of, or assassination rather, of the Haitian president, Jovenel Moise. I'm probably not pronouncing his name correctly, but the lunations preceding his inauguration, when he's, made particular declarations leading up to his assassination, they all told a really particular story. And so I want to be able to share a bit of my research with the astrological world, and, kind of open up a window into the power of taking a look at new and full moons. I mean, Ptolemy talked about this a lot. I remember he was one of the first resources that I had access to, was Ptolemy's Tetrabiblos. And he always talked about the importance of the preceding new or full moon before something happened. And I never really understood why that was such a big deal. I get it now. So I kind of want to help somebody else who maybe is a little confused at why this matters, skip that step and, come have a look at this stuff.
Right on.
Looking.
Thank you. And then on Saturday, the 27th, you have something very different.
Yes.
You're dealing with the heart of the consultation. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that talk I am so excited about. I mean, there's a million different avenues I can take it, and I still have to decide which way I want to go. So in the back half of 2020, around like September time, I had been invited to do a group consultation for a bunch of gals who are going to be together. And I, my techniques. I mean, I work with horary mostly. So I kind of thought to myself, if you're going to come to me with 3 people, I can't use the same chart to answer 3 different. I mean, maybe I could, but I wouldn't want to even try. And so I just thought, well, what can I do? And there was a method and technique that I applied that turns out to be one that Evangeline Adams championed, Aleister Crowley championed. You know, you can see evidence of this in historical sources, but I didn't know about any of this. I was just honestly just putting my astrologer brain 2 and 2 together to try and make 17 somehow. But, you know, I threw this together and I was just amazed. The consultation with these 3 different people, it was incredible. I mean, the things I wrote down in a book, I wanted to test it. I wrote down in a book saying, this first person's going to bring this up, the second person will bring this, and the next one will bring this. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was like boom, boom, boom. So then I decided I'm going to open up for natal consultations in an official way. I've never done that. If you message me for a natal consultation, of course, I will give you one, but I never had those listed as part of my services, believe it or not. And so I said, oh, I'm going to do it. And I thought maybe 6 people would sign up. I ended up having consultations. I didn't block my calendar and I just sent my calendaring service to everybody. I was consulting between 6 to 8 people a day for about 9 weeks. I mean, it was insane. So what I was seeing—
Insanity, Wade.
Laura, it really was, but I will tell you, and I never want to do it again. But what I will tell you is I got to witness something I think few astrologers get to see, which is over a sustained period of time, what does it really look like for the same signature that's been building for days? You know, if you've got a Mercury-Saturn conjunction, for instance, or a Venus-Jupiter square, those will have been building for days. And I got to actually witness what happens when they come to angles, they fall away from angles, when the new moon changes things, or when it becomes full, you know, as things start to shift and shake. And it really opened up this window into a system that I feel like I've got a heartbeat that's mine. I get it. It's my system. I'm ready to share it with the world and to be able to show what some, you know, I think pretty powerful techniques. So, and it's not mine. It's just like, it's mine now, you know, because I use it, but it's, you know.
You've integrated it. It feels like you own that process versus.
Well, and I did it without external guidance or validation. Yeah. It was just instinct to say, let's try this. And it turns out that there are big astrologers who came before me who had similar realizations and did great work for the community. And so that's what I'm hoping to be able to do is pass this on.
Representation and manifestation of your creative, intuitive brain.
There we go. I'll take that.
Well, it's the mark of a flexible thinker, one who can take vast amounts of pieces of your knowledge and extrapolate from that. So that shows mental and intuitive flexibility. So
it's what it felt like. I felt like I was one of those chefs on like Chef's Kitchen where they have a mystery box and they just have to figure it out. You know, it's like figure it out. And that's honestly what it felt like. And to have 8 consultations with 8 different people, you know, between 6 to 8, it wasn't always 8, but between 6 to 8 for 8 to 9 weeks. I mean, you really have to be moving with the system. So I learned a lot, and I just want to kind of pass it on before it's been so long distance that I forget some of the big lessons. So
that, look, when you come across something, whether it's a synthesis of a variety of different techniques or when something organically comes to you, it's exciting.
It really is. It's so exciting. And you know what I love about conferences too, is that these are places where astrologers get to share their research with the world. They get to share what windows have been opened for them, what doors, what new horizons have opened up, because ultimately we are a tradition forward type of community. It's about what we can pass down to each other, and you know that we are part of a growing, living, organic system that is changing and adapting, just as humans are changing and adapting to our environment. So when we find something to share, it is just the greatest form of love, you know. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you, Wade, for taking time out of your day, your busy schedule to chat with me. And so everyone, ISAR 2022, that is the ISAR conference that has been postponed due to the worldwide events that we have all experienced over the last 2 years, and we are coming. We're going to be there, and I hope that you will want to join us for this amazing event, August 25th through the 29th. You can go to isar2022.org. You'll find the schedule, the list of speakers. It's a great website.
And there are so many fantastic pre and post workshops. I mean, I'm doing one myself. I was really, really taken aback by how beautifully structured this program is. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Let me